Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're here for the first time, welcome to my channel. Thanks for clicking on this video. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave if you like my content. So today I'm actually going to be just showing you tips on how I do my eyeshadow and what works for me, and hopefully that helps you if you're trying to learn how to do better eyeshadow or just learning eyeshadow in general. I'm not a professional, but I feel like my eyeshadow comes out pretty good. If you want to see how I got this eye look and my tips for eyeshadow, then just keep watching. The first thing you want to do is prime your eyes. So I'm just going to be using this LA Girl Pro Concealer, and the color that I'm using is medium beige. And really you just want to use like this, you can use any eyeshadow primer, but I honestly will just use concealers because it's just easier for me, and that's one less product I have to buy. So just using your concealer would be fine. And then basically you just want to blend it out, get your whole eyelid covered. I take it all the way up to the brow bone. And the brush I'm using is this blurring concealer brush by It Cosmetics. And this is perfect for that. You can use it under your eye too for concealer, but this is what this brush is made for, is blending out concealer. All done. And then I do like to set my my base that I put down. You're gonna use like a shade that is basically just the same color that you put on your eye, or a little bit lighter too, but you want it to be a matte shade. Don't put a shimmer on there to set your base. You can also use loose powder, like whatever your setting powder you use, you can use that as well to set it. And I honestly just set right in the crease. I don't go crazy all over my whole eye. I just mostly want to set it in the crease. The reason why I'm setting it is because when I go to blend in my other shadows, I don't want it to stick onto that sticky base that we put down. I was watching a Nikki Tutorials tutorial, and she was talking about how she doesn't set it, and it's just like a trick that she used. But for me, I tried it and my shadow looked really greasy and creasy too. So anyways, moving on. So the key here is starting with lighter shades and working your way up. So this is a perfect palette to use for that, because it has a whole bunch of neutral mattes that you can use to work with any eye look. So I'm gonna start with I think I'm going to start with this color here. It's like a lighter, it's almost like a cool toned matte brown. And then I'm using this Morphe M441. And when you put it on, you want to start in the middle of your eye and then work outwards. But that way when you put it in the middle and then work it out, I feel like it gets more evenly dispersed than if you were to put it right here and try to work it that way. And I do, windshield and small circular motions. So this is not showing up as much, and that's the point. You want to build your way up. So just think of it as going from light colors to dark. You're building that dimension up. You don't want to go straight in with a dark color unless you're going for like a super bold look that requires a lot of darkness. Just for everyday, you want to work your way up. You can always add more, but it's harder to take away. You can barely see that, but we're going to start building that up. I'm going to go in with this a little bit darker shade, and I'm actually going to use a different blending brush for this. This is the e.l.f. blending brush, and it's good to have multiple brushes as well. And we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to put it right where we put the other one, but you're going to focus it more in the crease because this is starting to add dimension to your eye. So see how I'm just focusing it more right here rather than going all the way up to the brow bone like I was before. But yeah, what I was saying was it's good to have multiple blending brushes and just build up your collection. I know that when you're first starting out with makeup, everything can seem so overwhelming and expensive, but it is good to have multiple eye blending brushes, especially when you're using different colors, because you can kind of use different colors for different brushes and they're not so much mixing all together on one brush. So this one, I believe the first one I started with, I believe, was like $4 or $5. This one was $1 at Dollar Tree, and I actually bought multiple of these just so I could have on hand. I think I'm gonna use this one. And the brush I'm using is a Mikasa E310. It's like a smaller, it's a little bit fluffy still, but it's a smaller, like, tapered brush. And I use the Mikasa brushes a lot. It's kind of like an indie brand. It's not a huge brush brand, but I do use the Mikasa brushes pretty much every day. I found them on Instagram, and I actually have a code for brushes to save money off. I believe it's 25%, so I will put that, I mean, that's always in the description box, but I'll put it on the screen here just so you can see it. But I do have a code with Mikasa, an affiliate code with them, to save money off. If you want to try out some of their brushes, you can get a set or get some individuals. I would say they're comparable to Morphe. From what I know, I have a few Morphe brushes and they are pretty comparable. So I kind of see how I added a little bit more depth in there, but it's not as blended as I want, and this is not so much like a blending brush. So I'm actually going to use this brush. It's like a tapered, fluffy brush. You can see it kind of tapers off. And this one I got from Coastal Scents, and I like it as well. I'm just going to use that same color. See how it's more fluffy, so you can blend it out more. But yeah, eyeshadow is a lot of work. That's why I don't use it every single day, because this is a lot of steps, I know, but it's key to a good eye makeup look. And you want to use the lightest strokes too. I feel like the lighter you hold your brush, the more airbrush it's going to look on the edges and not as harsh. The further down that you hold it on your brush, it's going to be lighter. If you're holding it up here, you're going to be putting a lot of pressure. So try to hold it down further, and that will give you a lighter hand. And then this part is totally optional. It's just my personal preference for doing eyeshadow looks. But I am going to cut my crease a little bit just here in the inner part of my eye. And you know the trick, just put a little bit on, look up wherever that touches. Up here is where you want your line to be. This is a Morphe MB10 brush, and it's like a flat concealer brush, and it works really well for cutting this crease. So hope you can see what I'm doing here. I'm basically just patting it rather than trying to draw the line. Kind of pat it down to make your line. And this can take a little bit of time. And while I still have this concealer wet on this side, I'm going to put my foil shadow down, or shimmer shade. And the one I'm using is this Marvel in my Tarte Make Believe palette. And I just wanted to do green because today is St. Patrick's Day, and I didn't do like a St. Patty's Day tutorial, but I just figured why not wear a little green. And it is more of like a foiled green. You can't really tell. It's almost like color changing. It's not super green. Just a really light, like pastel looking color. The brush that I'm using is a Mikasa E220. So like I said, I use these quite a lot. And I use this one specifically because it's flat, but it's not so flat like a concealer brush. And it will, it's very good for packing on shimmers or foil shadows. Just getting right, it's able to get up right to that line that we cut. Okay, I'm gonna do the other eye. I did the other eye, and just remember that this just takes a lot of practice. Eye makeup takes a lot of practice. It's still not the way that like I think that it should look in my head, but practice does help. And the reason that I like to cut my crease right there is just because I like the way it looks. It looks more crisp. It kind of shapes your eye out a little bit more than just patting it on there and blending it out. I feel like it really just puts a lot of dimension into your eye. And that's why I personally like to cut it basically on every look that I do. I like to at least cut that inner part. Oh, the next color I'm going in with is this one right above the one that we just used, this brown one right here. I'm going to go in with the same brush that I used just on the other side. I'm just going to pat that onto right on the edge of the green that we put down. You can pack first and then blend after. So by packing, I mean just patting it onto your eye rather than sweeping it. So just patting the color on to get the pigment on there. Then you can go back in and blend it together. You don't have to worry about right when you put it on, it needs to be blended. No. I'm gonna go in with a smaller, like, little blending brush. This is actually one I got from a Unique packaging. I'm just lightly going over the edges there, just so it doesn't look like green brown, you know, it needs to blend together. And then I like to incorporate the color that we put in our crease right back onto the outer edge here. And with just that darker color that we used, I'm gonna go in with this brush, the Coastal Scents brush that we used to blend. I'm gonna pack that and then blend. Pack it on like that and then blend. And you wanna blend up. And I'm hoping that you guys can freaking see me. I'm just using the lightest touch, like I don't know if you can even tell, but I'm barely touching my eye. And just put a little bit, not too much, and just lightly put that on. And it's not, I don't see anything. This Obsidian one out of my Anastasia palette, this black is beautiful. Alright, so you see it just puts a little bit of darkness in there. And then you can see here it's still harsh. You see how it's just dark and then light. More blending. And don't mind my hair please in this video. It's like I just have to put it whatever way to be out of my face. I'm going back in with the Morphe brush, just going over the edge and just try to focus it above that where you cut. Try not to blend where you cut right there, that crease, because you want to keep that line crisp and straight. And then I personally do not highlight my brow bone. I just don't really care for that. I honestly don't wear shadow on my lower lash line either, just because it emphasizes my bags under there, my wrinkles, and I just don't like wearing shadow underneath. But anyways, I'm gonna actually go and film my other video for the face part of this, and then I'll be back to show you what it looks like with lashes on and everything. Okay, I am back. I finished the rest of my face, which is actually going to be on a different video. There's one last thing that I wanted to show you that I realized I didn't do. I actually did put mascara on my bottom lash, and I did put a little bit of this brown liner. It's from Almay, just a brown eyeliner in my waterline. I didn't show you how I highlight my inner corner. So I do take the highlighter that I put on my face as highlight, and I do like to highlight my inner corner with that. It just makes it easier and it ties in your look. It's just a small little flat ugly brush that I'm using. Put a little bit on there and pop that right in where your bone goes in, where it sinks in that part, little crevice. Like so. And then voila, just makes a little bit of a pop there on your eyes. And but okay, that is my video today for the eyeshadow with my tips. I'm pretty sure, what is on my face? Anyways, I'm pretty sure that I am gonna watch this back and be like, I forgot to say this and this, but these are just tips that I do for my eyeshadow. I've learned from tutorials, I've learned from other places, and I've learned just doing my own makeup, what works best for me. So I hope this helps you out if you're trying to get a little bit more better at your eyeshadow skills. And just remember that the brushes that you use don't have to be expensive. You can slowly build them up. You can get them from the dollar store. You can get, well, the blending brushes you can get from the dollar store, the Wet n Wild ones. You can get Morphe brushes that are a little bit more affordable, and just build your collection up. But it does help to have multiple eye brushes when you're doing a look with different colors. But other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.